Dreamcatcher Studios, providing quality service in music education, studio recording, photography, and live entertainment. For more information, contact us at 209-421-2966. Dreamcatcher Studios. We don't just chase our dreams, we catch them.
If you're looking for the most amazing podcast ever, well, this isn't it. You're listening to the Average Fellas Podcast, guaranteed to let you down and leave you unsatisfied.
Welcome to another episode of the Average Fellas Podcast. I'm your host, Zodizach, coming to you live all the way from Riverside, California on another beautiful Thursday night. I know what you're thinking. What about Star Bros? Zach, what about Star Bros? I know. Doing something a little bit different tonight. I was able to get an interview with one of my best friends, and I had to play this episode. I've had it for about a week now, but a little longer than a week, and I just, I can't hold on to it any longer. I have to release it. It's good stuff. It's one of my best friends, so had to share this episode with you guys. As far as Star Bros goes, we are still continuing Star Bros. Next Thursday, we'll continue with Star Bros. We have some little special in the works for you guys. If you're following Star Bros, you're following the Thursday night content where we just do everything and anything Star Wars. We followed all of Season 1 of The Mandalorian leading into Season 2, so we're preparing for that. We actually are putting together a panel of our guests from all of Season 1 Mandalorian, and we're going to have a reunion show the week before the release date, which is October 30th, and then the following week after that we'll also have more content following Season 2 of The Mandalorian. So don't forget, we'll have a reunion episode. We'll have everybody that was in our past episodes of Season 1 of The Mandalorian, get them together on one episode, and we'll prepare the week before The Mandalorian, and then we'll go into Season 2.
Thank you for subscribing and following and all those things. If you guys would help us out and leave us a rating, or you would just leave a comment on any of the platforms that you're subscribed to us for podcasts, that would help us rank up in the directories, guys. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. I think I got through all that stuff. Thank God. All right. Anyways, so today my guest, like I said, is a longtime friend, and we actually started a band together. Oh, man, I don't know. I want to say, who knows, 12 years ago now? I don't know, 13 years ago now? I have no idea. I was old then, too. Kind of weird. Anyways, I'd like to introduce and bring on my friend and brother, Nick Stockdale. What's going on, my guy?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing
How's
much.
it going?
Just, I mean, this is so weird because we just spent like an hour talking, and I'm like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Didn't think that through, but
No, yeah, that's okay though. It gave us time to, get our podcast voices ready.
yeah, exactly, man. Anyway, speaking of that, so what's new, man? What's going on with, like, I know recently there was you took a fall. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I decided I wanted to crash my motorcycle the other day and not wear a helmet at the same time. So that was
Oh my god,
that was a fun experience. So that's why we're doing the podcast today, because I'm off of work for probably the next month or so with a fractured collarbone. My whole right side of my body is pretty much just trashed right now. So
I mean, now that you have a month off, man, might get you to come back on another time. So it's.
Hey, I like I told you earlier, right? Like yesterday or the day before, I think I left my room once.
Okay. All right.
I'm pretty stationary right now. So if now is the time, if you're trying to come, get me to do something, now is the time, because I can't run away.
I need to capture your gold. And so the world needs to know.
Oh gosh.
We need you to shine. Yeah, no, dude, I woke up a couple days ago and I seen this story, and it's like, Nick took a bad fall. on his bike, and right away in my head I thought, oh my god, my friend's dead. No,
Dude. You know what's funny
Oh
is
my
that like
gosh.
I had a couple people do. I wasn't gonna say anything because mostly, you know, embarrassed a little. I was like, oh man, I fell on my my motorcycle. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, look at this loser. You know, I wasn't gonna publicly announce it, you know, because you know, at this point in my life, it's not like I go on Facebook and tell everybody
Yeah,
everything that's
exactly.
happening, right?
No,
Like,
you're
oh
not
no,
like
I
me.
fell off my
You're not like me.
motorcycle. Yeah, well, you know, some people still enjoy doing that and like the interactions with people, but I'm more, you know, secluded. But yeah, no, Mel posted about it, and I had you and a couple other people reach out to me, which was really cool. It was nice to know that people care.
Yeah, man, I could not take another tragic story in 2020, bro. Like, don't put that on us,
I
dude.
know. Could you imagine?
Don't put
Oh
that on
my
us, bro.
gosh. Could you imagine if I was the one that went down in 2020?
Bro, don't put that on us, man.
No, no, no. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
So, well, I'm glad I get to get you on the podcast now that you're, you know, away from work a little bit. I'm sure I could have gotten you on sooner, but you know, I just figured this would probably help you out during this time, have a conversation, you know.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to just, you know, catch up with you real quick. I know obviously we actually had one of our first musical projects together. We started a project, I don't know if you remember it, called Boo and Do in the World of Tomorrow or something like that.
Of course.
And
How could I forget?
Oh my gosh, man. This is funny because I don't know if you remember this, but when we released like 2 or 3 like songs under that name, and one of the tracks, I literally slapped the table for the drums. Like, I made the beat on the table, and we recorded the beat, me slapping the desk. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, I remember because we recorded it sitting at the desk. Like,
Yeah.
Like just into the computer microphone or whatever.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was something else, man.
That was back in the days before we had, you know, our fancy setups now.
Exactly, yeah.
What is that? What is that? An SM57 you got for your?
I'm using the SM57. I had
Hey,
to do it.
there you go.
Well, because here's the thing too about the SM57, right? Everybody's out here buying the Shure SN7B or something like that, like the $500 mic, and I'm like,
Yeah.
First of all, let me tell you something. You know what a trusted mic is? The Shure SM57. You know which
I mean,
microphone's in every studio? The SM57.
The reputation precedes itself. I mean, yeah, that's probably one of the most trusted and used microphones on the planet.
Exactly. Even the presidents use this microphone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason. Yeah, I've got like 2 or 3 of them myself, you know? It's a great microphone.
It's one of my favorites. We went on to create a full band called Velcro by Design as well.
Yep.
Oh, man. Some of those were the days, man. That's when it was like easy days, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are some of my fondest memories.
Yeah, mine too.
Just slapping together a song real fast. Like, literally, I used to put together a song in like 2-3 days and be like, all right, let's practice this so hard. Let's drill this. Like, and it was just easy days, man. I wish music was like that. It's not like that anymore.
It was kind of like a tap and it just wouldn't turn off, right?
Yeah, it was
like you couldn't turn it off. Now it's harder, right?
Exactly.
It's harder to try and come up with stuff. You're sitting there, you're like getting on your hands and knees, like, please just give me a little something.
Give me a riff, please.
Just something, yeah. And now, back then, you know, it would just come out. You wouldn't even have to worry about it.
Dude, some of the riffs that we wrote though for that project, I actually go back and watch some of these old videos, and one of them, I forget which one it's called, but it's one where you do the intro by yourself and you're just playing it, and it's like do 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 do. I don't know if you can tell what that is.
I don't remember. I'd have to.
I don't know what it is. I'll have to go back and look too, but man, every now and then when I catch that, I go back and I see that one. I'm like, dude, that riff is so hard to this day, bro.
There are a lot of things that we wrote back then that I still think hold up well.
I was just like, man, that song, that riff, dude, there's a couple of them that were just, yeah, they were rippers, man. And what I would give to be able to,
we did good
to write one of those again.
I know now, right? Yeah.
I peaked so early.
I know. Me too, dude.
Well, I mean, I hope that it wasn't the peak, man. I hope that
It was definitely. I mean, I can't imagine a better jumping off point musically.
right.
You know, like for that to be our first band. I mean, I couldn't imagine having it having been, any better,
That's actually a really good point that you make that, because I've showed up to band practices after that project and none of them ever worked. Like they just didn't work that well. You know?
No. We there was something about you, me, and Luke that, the three of us together, and then Tyler, I guess, and Tubby probably eventually, right?
Our rotating bass players.
And Daniel,
And
yeah,
Daniel.
yeah. There was just something about our chemistry that, we were having too much fun, and you could tell in the music.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was yeah, like you said, it was easy. There was a cohesion that was effortless, that was just fun. And that's hard to recreate in a band, and I'm so glad that we're talking about music and stuff today, because obviously it's a shared passion of ours. Before we get into that a little deeper, I just want to know, you're a gear guy, and I know you got a lot of gear. We talked about the mic for a little bit. Can you share with us maybe what you're playing right now, if you are playing anything, what your rig looks like, and maybe what you got your eyes on that you would want to put in your rig?
It's funny, as I've transitioned over into fatherhood and my, it's funny because literally just the other day I moved a lot of my equipment into the garage from my music room as my daughter's stuff has started to take over the house.
Yeah.
It's funny that you would ask that, but yeah, no, I've still got quite a bit of stuff. As far as guitars go, my number one, I've got a Fender Jazzmaster. It's the Chicago Music Exchange Special Edition. It's like their hot 57 wound pickups in it. It's a sweet guitar. For amp though, I'll tell you what, I for a long time was playing with Daniel and Alex and Junior, and we were playing some amps that were probably, too big. They took up too much room. They were heavy as all hell, but they looked awesome.
Yeah.
And about 2 years ago or so, I started looking into smaller amps, right? Because I was like, man, these take up too much room and they're too heavy and all this stuff. And I had played a lot of tube amps and owned a lot of tube amps, and I was kind of like, man, I can get a lot of these same sounds out of a solid state amp. I don't really need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm not, actively recording or touring or anything like that.
Right.
So once I kind of came to terms with that, I started playing a lot of the Quilter amps. I don't know if you've ever seen those ones.
Oh, I definitely have looked at the Quilter.
I've had two of them now that I love. For less than $200, we're talking about $250. I mean, $250. I mean, these things kick ass, and you plug them straight into your cab. And I've got I've got a 410 and a 212 cab at my house, and you plug those things into those cabinets, and it's like, it sounds as good.
I'm actually that's interesting, because I do have a 212 cabinet here, and I've been playing my church, so I haven't had to use it. I just DI into the board.
Yeah.
And obviously my pedal setup kind of helps me with that, just because it helps kind of like, I guess, it's the in between state before it hits the DI into the board.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
typically, like, obviously I don't want to do that. I don't like running my guitar directly into the board. So I'm glad there's at least a 2-stage process before it gets there, because man, once the guitar hits those cones of the PA, man, it could just be too much,
It can.
So for me, that could be that's something that I might be interested in actually looking at. Is actually looking at another quilt now that you bring it up. I got the cap.
Yeah, the Quilter, right now I have I think it's called the Power Block 45. It's like a pedal sized
Okay.
amp. And it has I forget what that pin connector is that you use to go directly into the board.
Okay.
But it has an output for that. So you can plug it directly into the board and you can use that to kind of EQ your guitar sound.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be an option. I got to look into that now.
And then from there, but it's a pretty straightforward, sounding amp. And then from there, you can pretty much just build with pedals however you want to sound, which is pretty much what I've always done.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about real quick. Like, you got any pedals laying around? You working with anything, or could you? All right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, you're the kind of guy that got me into pedals. Like, I actually
I
went over, I saw you playing with them, and I was like, whoa, hold on a second. I always thought those were a waste of money, but you're doing something with that,
Yeah, man. I signed on. I created an account with Reverb probably 6-7 years ago when it first came out. Right, you're familiar with Reverb.com.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of just guys selling used pedals, right? And it was almost kind of like a swap meet online.
Yeah.
And these guys were selling, pedals that I'd never even heard of for significantly cheaper than you could buy off of Musician's Friend or from Guitar Center.
Right.
And so I was able to use that as kind of like like, hey, these are cool. And then I could watch a YouTube video of it and say, oh, that's pretty neat. I'd like to try that out. And I mean, if you go through my Reverb account, I've probably bought, 50 plus different guitar pedals.
Yeah.
That I've owned at one point and then probably sold at one point as well.
Dude, yeah.
But
I bought a couple pedals. I think I bought a few things from you.
You definitely have. I forget. I sold you an Earthquaker pedal, I think, right?
Yes, you did. Sold me an Acapulco Gold.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
That's a great pedal.
Honestly, I love that pedal so much, but there's no functionality outside of there's no gig work that you can get done with that pedal, but it is a great pedal.
It's supposed to be emulating like an old Sun Model T blown out completely. It has one knob.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you pretty much, the only way you can effectively use that pedal is either love the tone that you get with it.
Yeah.
Or you need to get some sort of EQ pedal directly after it so that you can try and adjust some of the frequencies. Otherwise,
harness that tone.
Yeah, because it's like it's a one knob guy, and it's like you love it or you hate it.
Yeah, like it's just a gain, pretty much, just a giant gain knob. And
yep.
For me, what I liked to pair it with a tentacle. I also had the Earthquaker tentacle.
Yep.
So those two together for me were like such a good, like, robust White Stripes tone that I think I actually heard you use a harmonic pedal. I think it was the drop pedal, and you were getting
love that pedal,
some tones with that drop pedal, and man, that I wanted to create, but I didn't want to pay the price for, so that's why I bought the tentacle.
Honestly, that Digitech drop is there. I've sold a lot of my stuff now at this point, but there's probably 3 or 4 pedals still that I have had for 5 or 6 years that I will probably never sell, and the Digitech drop is one of those pedals.
Yeah, dude, I'm a fan of that.
That octave, I mean, and it's not even really for that. It's the pedal itself is supposed to be able to do, so you could do drop tuning on the fly.
Yeah.
Right. You can drop multiple steps and essentially be playing in a different tuning, but I never trusted that because it was always, and that's the problem with any of these pedals nowadays is that, they don't track nearly as well as you hope they will.
Yeah.
So even if you're strumming full chords, it's not going to sound as good as it would if you actually tuned your guitar. But the octave option on it is just killer. And
Yeah.
I use that like crazy for a lot of those Jack White type, White Stripes guitar riffs.
Yeah, man, that was when I heard that, I was like, wow, that right there, that's a good spot. And that's why I picked up the Tentacle, because it was another octave pedal, it was hopefully
Yeah, no, it does a similar job,
yeah,
right? So
not as well, but it does a similar job, not as well.
yeah.
Yeah, so what you got, anything you got your eye on, something that just like, well, let me just shout something out real quick. I got a DD7 I'm trying to get rid of, so if anybody wants to buy that, hit me.
The DD7A, that's a classic.
gmail.com.
That's a classic pedal.
I got the DD7 online right now, so if anybody want to cop one of those,
I've never owned a Boss digital delay pedal.
Dude, they are my lifesavers. They are my favorite. They're my favorite, like, delay reverbs. Like, cause I bought the pair, the RV5. I think this is 6. RV6.
Oh man,
and
the
DD7.
RV6. I have an RV6, and let me tell you, I'll never sell it.
That's on my board right now.
It's so good. It does every reverb possible well enough.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because I was at the church setting up my gear, and the other guitar player's like, "Hey man, why do you have the the reverb on the board still?" And I was just like, because it's good, man. It's
Yeah,
good.
what do you mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, I picked up the Line 6 HX effects. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah.
Dude, this thing right now, I've patched like everything all my tones that I've already set up at like 5 or 6 of them already, but they're all just, I mean, simple, easy to use, just real quick, get a dial in like a rockabilly tone if you want to. And then I just use that RV5, the RV6 to just color that, because it's such a good, I don't know, it's just working so well. Those 2 functions right now, I'm happy with those. Those are doing their thing. But yeah, what pedal, like a pedal that if I wish you could, have sort of like a holy grail of pedals, which one would it be?
Oh God, holy grail. That's a good question. I just saw recently Strymon just put out a new a new delay reverb pedal that I was pretty interested in.
Strymon.
I think it's called the Night Sky. It looks pretty cool.
Is that supposed to be like a newer version of the Big Sky?
It's like a slightly modified version of the Big Sky.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at that one. It's been a while.
It looks expensive.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks absolutely nuts.
Yeah, some guys' boards you look at, I'm just like, oh my.
How do you even begin to afford that?
There's 2 of their pedals like equals my rig, so
yeah.
I'll have to take a look at that one.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's if you're into that kind of what do you call it, like ambient style playing.
That's the one.
I mean, those Strymon pedals are the way to go.
I've always wanted to get one, but I just never want to pay the price for it, man. I've always been that way with my music. I've always been like, I just don't want to put that much money up for it,
I've owned the Big Sky, I've owned the Blue Sky, I've owned the El Cap, and as much as they are ridiculously priced, God, man, if you can afford it,
they're worth it.
They're worth it, man. It's hard to say they're not.
Yeah.
They really, really are good.
Well, I mean, even if you're a gigging musician, so like for me, like one of the things is like what I've basically do is sourced out that skill right now. Like I play guitar and stuff, and it keeps me inspired, and I like to, volunteer at my church, right? So yeah, I needed something that was just going to get the job done, and I figured, that would meet the price, and I'd get everything I needed in one shop kind of thing with the Stomp here, the Line 6 HX effects. That was kind of like my goal with it. So, but if I could, in a perfect world, I'd have all those on the board.
Yeah. In a perfect world where money was not an issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. I'd probably do the same.
Hey, so I just want to stay in this thread with music. You also you had a project a few years back that I thought was really good. I thought you did a really good job of producing this project. I know you spent a lot of time and effort producing this project. It wasn't like something that you just put out there. This was something that took planning, that took practice, that took writing, that took critical, I guess, efforts to make it its best, from what I've seen in the result of this project. And the results of the project speak for itself. It is a good, I think it's a well done, just well done representation of what you can do if you really invest some time and effort into it, right? And I think you executed that well, and I really appreciate that, because it shows me basically I can do it. If my friend Nick can produce this, and I saw how much work and effort you put into it, it really inspired me to want to get back into playing and want to produce something of that caliber, right? I was like, wow, if he could do it, I can definitely do it too, because I don't know, we share a lot of the same sort of music history, and being in Los Banos, everything's a little bit of DIY in Los Banos. And I shared this with George Lovato in one of my episodes too. We sort of had that spirit of, we had to figure it out ourselves and produce our own stuff. And so like, I seen that in myself, and I seen you doing that with this project. And so I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. How did you come up with the idea, or even with Damn Good Dog? Like, what inspired you to start the project?
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words. That was a really important piece of art that we wanted to make. But as far as how it came together, we were playing in Fur Drive, me, Daniel, Junior, Vanessa, and Kyle, and that band kind of, we went our separate ways from there. I think it was about 2015 or so. And, me and Daniel and Junior, we were kind of talking like, hey, we still want to play music. We're not really done. We're not ready to give this up.
Yeah.
And so, we started, at that point it was, Daniel playing bass, Junior playing drums, and I was the only guitar player. And I had some riffs and stuff that I had written over the years that I was, like, hey, why don't we try something with this? And, we came up with a handful of songs, and they it sounded good. And we were like, okay, well, what do you want to do about getting a vocalist? Do we get a vocalist? Like, do we try and do this as an instrumental band, or try and make it work with either another singer or one of us singing? And we kind of all auditioned ourselves for the singing role, and I was the lucky winner, I guess.
Do you guys have audio recordings or any files of those takes that you guys all auditioned for yourselves?
No, those have been destroyed.
Dang it. Oh man, I would have loved to hear those.
If you can imagine, I'm sure you can, because there is footage of Daniel, vocalizing. He's not singing per se, but he's and Junior was obviously never going to work, because how shy he is about that kind of stuff.
Right.
But, we do have a recording. Pat has it, of like one of the very first times we all got together, and me singing, and it was terrible. It was bad, man.
No.
It was crazy. It was terrible. And I'll find it and I'll send it to you. It's bad.
Oh man.
It's
save
really
it
bad.
for the next time. Find it and save it for the next time, and then just play it for us.
I'll play it for yeah. Because it's bad, dude. I listened back to that. It's like, oh my goodness. The best thing about it is, is I had, you've known me now for 15 years or something like that, right? And we've pretty much known each other exclusively through music.
Yeah.
Or playing music together in some sort of context. And I was never, in all the bands that I'd ever played in, I was never the lead singer, or really even, other than, background vocals kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of the first opportunity for me to try to be the singer.
Yeah.
And I felt like I, kind of had something to prove to myself, and I knew that I wasn't terrible, but I knew that it wasn't, you know, the most maybe radio friendly style of singing, right? My
Right,
voice
right,
isn't that
right.
good, and I kind of had to find my niche and just let it be what it was.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did that, and I feel like it turned out okay. And it also allowed me to, write lyrics for the first time, really.
Yeah.
And that was a whole experience as well, because I had never had to be, the guy.
Yeah.
And that was it was awesome, because I got to finally, write about stuff that, was meant something to me,
Yeah.
you know.
And
And I think that, oh, good.
no, and I really think that Damn Good Dog encapsulates that. Like you said, you get to write something for you, and I feel like you feel that, because I feel it. I feel it in the writing. I feel it in the word. There's actually a part you go and you talk. Actually, one of the songs we talk about is the quiet fear of being alive.
Yeah.
And that resonates with people. That resonated with me. There is there's a challenge inside your spirit, or your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, whatever, right? And you want to prove it to yourself, and at the same time, there's also like this vulnerability with it, and contemplating the thought, the quiet fear of being alive, and it speaks and like kind of encompasses that sort of thread, that emotion. And I really appreciate that in your project and your work. And because you're not the type of person to put that out there, be like, hey, like you're not, like you said, you're not expressive like that. And when you hear it come through the lyrics and the music, for me, that's when it becomes like, okay, this isn't just like something they tossed out here. This is they spent time, they thought. You get to get a little snapshot of where the person is in, mind, creative space kind of thing. And so, it was, to me, that's why I like the project, man. I listened to things, like, I don't know how many times. I actually still have the CD in my truck right now, actually.
Nice.
So, speaking about writing, who were some of your influences when you were writing this project, and what inspired you when you needed to write?
The crazy thing about it was that, for whatever reason, I didn't really have a hard time writing any of these songs. There have been times since then when other than the first couple songs, right? After the first couple songs, there have been times where I'm like, okay, maybe I need to spend a little bit more time trying to figure out what I want to say. But those first couple songs, man, I mean, they just flew out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was just like, I wrote, for me, I always write all the guitar parts first, and then try and come up with the melody and then lyrics from there. But I mean, I would record myself playing all the guitar parts, and then I would just sing to the recording.
Yeah.
Like just on my phone, right? I would do it, and I'd just record my guitar part, and then I'd sing it, play it back, and sing to it.
Yeah.
And it just came, It was stuff that other bands that I listened to.
Yeah.
A lot of bands at that time. I mean, still now, but I mean, there's bands like Law Dispute, Balance and Composure, Tiger's Jaw, Movements is a big one now. That I listened to that played similar types of music and had similar types of lyrics, and I related to that, and I was like, well, I want to do my kind of version of that.
So, oh, there she is.
She's got the water jug.
Uh-oh.
She's got the water jug.
Oh my God.
Hi, Mama. Mommy, go with your mommy. Daddy will come out soon, okay?
So, this episode, I came up with a creative name for it. I don't necessarily have a title for it, but I sent you the notes, and the working title is Emo Bands and Baby Daddies. So I don't know. What did you think about that title? Should I reclassify that? But
yeah, I would. I mean, there's got to be something better than that. I'll help you come up with something.
Come up with something better than that. Okay, cool. But this is so moving on with the sort of this talking about what is inspiring and stuff, and the people who inspired you, like the influences. Following that same thread, can you talk about, you did mention some stuff that you had done when you were writing, like what techniques or ways that or practices that you used in order to write this project. You said something about like listening to your phone after you playing your playbacks and stuff. Is there any more other I guess useful techniques for those people that are trying to write a project that you would say that you used that helped you?
The biggest, anytime I try and write anything, right, I almost always will record myself and listen back to it hundreds of times, right? Because, unless you have access to a recording setup in your house or something, a lot of us don't.
Right.
And so, I got the Voice Memos app on my phone that, I could play you hundreds of different versions and takes of songs that, I just, jot down because I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time when I was writing, anytime, these songs, not just in particular, but any songs, I generally will come up the guitar parts first, and then I'll record myself playing it, and then I'll listen back to it and kind of, you try and figure out the melody. And I'm not a classically trained singer or anything.
Right.
So as far as figuring out what the melody should be or coming up with one, it kind of just happens, I guess. You kind of just look for, you listen to the music, obviously, and hey, this might sound cool if I do this. And sometimes you may, try and steal something from someone else, maybe, as a jumping off point, and just to get the ball moving.
Well, speaking of steal something from somebody as a jumping off point, I don't know if you've ever noticed the logo of this podcast. There's a dog silhouette in the background.
Is there really?
Yeah, that's actually my dog Russell. It's his silhouette picture in the background. And I remember I remember seeing your guys' logo and thinking how cool it was, and I was like, I'm going to put my dog's picture in the background of my logo.
Oh, dude, and that's so funny because I don't even remember. God, now it's been a couple years now. I don't even remember how the idea came about. It probably was me, actually. I think for some reason I must have been really into David Bowie at the time. And I was like, hey, let's do a Ziggy Stardust type thing.
Yeah.
With a dog. And so we named him, I think we named him like Ziggy Pawdust or something like that.
Ziggy Pawdust, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Is that a mascot?
And and we had it made and it turned out to be pretty cool.
Was that a marketing strategy?
I think yes, technically. I don't think we
Pawdust, okay.
when we did it, we weren't I don't think we've ever taken it so seriously that we were like looking to like target people for ads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like we've always kind of
it was just a creative thing that was inspired by those
things.
things.
We just wanted to make stickers and shit for our friends, you know, and pins and stuff and on a t-shirt or whatever, and have our friends buy it. So that's why we always did it.
That's always fun. I remember when we did our first shirts for a band. Oh my God, that was funny. I know a couple people who still have some of those shirts. Surprising.
I know. I think Pat has one actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a couple people there's a couple people that still have some shirts.
Because they were clean, dude. They were clean. That's right.
It was a good idea.
That's a good design. We were like trying to be Kanye back then, dude. We were trying to be designers and stuff back then.
Dude, you know what's funny? Do you remember when we played at the talent show at Stanislaus?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, do you ever think about I just recently finished watching The Last Dance, right? the Michael Jordan documentary.
Okay.
Would you consider that show to be your flu show?
Oh man.
Do you remember that? Because do you remember being sick for that?
Yes, man. That's the flu show right there for me, dude. That's the only show that I ever felt like I was dead. Yes.
Yeah, dude, because I remember going to and from that show and even playing it. You were a mess.
Dude, I was so sick that day, bro. But you know what? If you want it, you want it, man. Like, if you love to perform.
You did. You wanted it. We still
bro.
killed it. Yeah, we killed it, man.
Dang. The good old days.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh, man. So I want to talk about Damn Good Dog, and I know you guys did I thought you guys did a really cool little mini tour, California coast sort of mini tour that I thought was awesome, and I really liked the behind the scenes footage you guys posted and stuff. That was just a really cool thing for you guys to post. I really enjoyed that, and it reminded me about maybe asking this question: can you talk about your highlight moments in Damn Good Dog?
Oh boy. Highlight moments in Damn Good Dog. Yeah, I mean, that was for sure one of them. I mean, getting to go and play to people who had never heard us before, and getting to get in a van with those guys for a couple days and just kind of pretend to be a touring band for a weekend. I mean, that was unforgettable. That was something that I'll always remember. And luckily it was with 5 or 6 of we're all best
local
friends,
boys.
right?
There you go.
Yeah, the boys. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to go and do this with.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I mean, God, so many good times with that group, because it's me, Daniel, and Junior, and then Alex Hardy, and Daniel and Junior I've known since pretty much the same age I've known you.
Yeah.
And those guys are, I lived with both of them for a while in San Jose, and oh, man, there was a lot of good times. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be it's stupid, but we were renting a practice studio in San Jose right near the end of the band, right before we kind of, went on hiatus. And we had a little room, and it was 24 hours, this practice space. It's over by the airport in San Jose. And so we had a room, and we could go over there whenever we wanted. So we would try and go after work and stuff like that. And just, the 4 of us in this room, sometimes Daniel shows up drunk, sometimes, someone shows up in a bad mood, and just getting to hang out with those guys and play music in this room as loud as we wanted, as late as we wanted. It was, it kind of felt like,
heaven.
Like we had, yeah, man, it was the dream, right? We had all of our gear, our PA system, everything set up. We could play as loud as we want, as long as we wanted, and it was amazing. And then I guess anything other than that would be, we played a couple shows in Los Banos, and when people start showing up the second time and they're singing the words and stuff like that to your songs, that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, unbelievable feeling.
Hey, so is there any projects maybe in the works in the future for Nick Stockdale?
Yeah, my second kid. No. I still play.
Yeah.
I still play regularly, and I still write music and stuff like that. As far as any, getting the band back together, Alex moved to Portland earlier this year, and Daniel's in LA now. So as far as getting the band back together, probably not anytime soon. As far as maybe some recorded music, who knows? We all have computers and stuff nowadays.
Yeah,
where we can,
exactly.
We can, record from afar and get it all on one track. So who knows? But at this time right now, we're just kind of living life one day at a time.
It's not
doing
off
that kind
the
of
table,
stuff.
but it's not necessarily
Absolutely
on the table,
not.
right? So
yeah, it's if I write something really fucking cool and I'm like, hey, you guys, we should try and do something, then yeah, we'll try. But if it doesn't happen, then it is what it is.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to think about it. I always feel the same way about me. You know, music's never off the table. I participate like with my church playing music just because it keeps me, you know, playing music. It keeps me involved with my you know, playing guitar, which is one of my passions, you know. So,
Yep.
I mean, like, that's the only reason why I know how to do this podcasting, like, stuff a little bit, or how I was able to just get on, you know, and do this stuff, is because I've been around music stuff my whole life, right? A little bit of just all those influences sort of led up to, you know, being able to do this. So yeah, always got to stay connected to. For me, it's just it's a stone throw away, and I can always help somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
absolutely.
Move on to a little bit different subject, but important subject, because I feel like, you know, we're all getting a little older in life. We're all getting all the gray hairs and stuff, and so I had to include this in the episode, just because it means a lot to me. I mean, you're my best friend, so I want to talk about dad life. How is that suiting you, man? How's the dad life suiting you?
Dad life is it's hard to explain if you're not a dad. You know, it's definitely one of the most rewarding things that I've ever gotten to experience, but it's also one of the hardest. I like, just right now I can hear my daughter in the other room screaming her head off. She is unhappy about something, and I'm, you know, but I obviously am kind of injured right now, so, you know, Mel's hopefully helping her out. But yeah, man, it's a wild ride, that's for sure.
I know. I'm feeling the pressure from my wife over here. She's feeling the pressure for her, and I'm just like, oh,
hey, man, do it. It's a blast. It's like I told you, make sure you have you're perfectly okay with the life that you've lived up until this point.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't have any kids. I mean, unless you have it on accident, right? Like, if you're planning to have a kid, make sure that you do it knowing that, like, everything else in your life, all of your personal goals are put on the back burner.
Right.
And unless you're a superhuman, or you can afford, you know, a nanny or something like that, like, all of those goals have to be, you know, put to the side.
Some average fellow's wisdom right there, man.
Yeah, just know that, and that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
That's okay, because you're getting to see, like, my daughter, you know, we'll be watching something, and you know, she watches the kids shows, and if they start singing the alphabet, she starts to try and say some of the letters, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She can say the letter B, you know, and it's like, I remember the day she came out, you know, holding her as soon as she came out of her mom, and I was like, oh my God. And now she walks and runs and falls and tries to talk, and, you know,
makes
it's like
noises,
every little thing. Yeah, dude, every little thing is like, when you see them start from nothing, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess moving on to the second question, follow that question up. So what were some of the unexpected joys of fatherhood that maybe you didn't consider before you became father? You know, you found out you can be a father, but you didn't consider, now that you've experienced, you know, so long as a father, what are some of those unexpected joys that have come up?
For sure, the easiest one I would have to say is just girl dad.
Yeah.
Being a girl dad, dude, because, you know, when I feel like most guys are like this. I didn't have a sister or anything, right? So when we found out we were going to have a kid, I wanted a boy.
Yeah.
More than anything, right? I was like, oh my gosh, please, boy. And, you know, we find out, hey, it's going to be a girl, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's good too.
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't really know what to expect. You know, I'd never really been around little girls or anything like that. And let me just say, man, having a daughter is unreal.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy to think about, like, just little things, like, you know, how to, like, putting their hair up and stuff like that, like doing their hair and, like, you know, getting them ready and stuff. For little boys, you know, it's like, okay, put on your shirt and your pants, all right. Little girls, it's like, you know, you put on their dress and their shoes with, you know, too many little buttons, and putting their hair up, and brushing their hair and all these things that I'm like, oh man. Before my daughter, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of silly. Not silly, but I'm like, this sounds very foreign to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I couldn't imagine not doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, dude, girls are the best. I love having a daughter, man.
Wow, man, that's awesome to hear, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, girls rule.
There you go, man. You heard it here on the Average Fellas podcast. Hey, man, is music going to be something that you want to share with your kids? Because I have this thought quite a bit. I wrestle with this thought. I mean, it's not that I wrestle with it, but, like, just being a musician, like, you have dreams, So, like, maybe you can talk on that a little bit as being a dad and being a musician.
Well, I feel like this is probably a good question for you, too. Well, let me answer your question with a question for you. Did your parents have any influence in you playing guitar or getting involved with music?
I would say yes and no, but none of them were musicians. But my mom did sing for the church.
Okay, so somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
So you were at least around the church band, and you maybe saw, the guy playing guitar and that,
Exactly.
and you're like, oh man, I want to do that.
Exactly.
See, my dad was a musician, and when I didn't have a choice, right? When I was in like 4th or 5th grade, he bought me a trumpet and was like, you're in the school band now. And I'm like, what? All right, sure.
Yeah.
Right. And then he did the same thing for my brother with the saxophone. He's like, you're in the band now. And he's like, sure, I guess.
I'm in the band now. What?
Yeah. I'd never had any interest in being a musician up until that point. And, you do music, you do band for a couple years and you learn how to read music. And then eventually, I got to high school and was like, hey, I'd rather play guitar, actually.
Yeah.
And started doing that. And, it turned into what it is now. But as far as, my kids, I mean, I can't imagine not trying to get them involved with music.
Right.
Like the idea of whether she, just with my daughter, at least first, right? Like, I can, whether it's singing or playing an instrument or, anything involved with music, I for sure think I'm going to try and do everything I can to help her, at least influence her a little bit to try and do it.
Definitely. That's what my thoughts here. It's like, I'm sure they're going to be around when I'm playing my guitar. I'm sure they're going to be around
my brother bought her a little guitar for her first birthday.
Nice.
And she'll carry that thing around, and it's a little one. It's got like 3 nylon strings on it, and she'll sit there and strum it, and she can't hold it properly yet. But,
yeah.
She likes making the sound, and she'll go to my guitars and strum the strings, and she likes the way they sound. So I think she'll probably be interested in it as she gets older, and I'll definitely be there to say, hey, you want to play with Dad? If you do, I'll buy you a guitar. And
bro, you might produce the next T Swift, dog. You never know.
If I do, just know that it was all my idea, and yeah, I'm taking all the money. If I do, I'll send for you from my private island.
Yes.
And I'll be like, Zach, come hang out on my island, dude.
Oh my God.
daughter paid for it.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
That's the dream.
That's the dream, man. That's the dream. That's the dream right there.
Yeah, and she's, my daughter's half, right? So she's pretty light skinned, but she's half Mexican.
Yeah.
So she might be the next. We might get some Latin music going on with her too. Who knows?
Man. She might. I mean, she could break into new markets.
Melissa listens to Spanish music, so we may get something like that. I don't know.
She might hit you with it, dude. She might hit you.
Dude,
she might be the next
Selena,
bro. You never know.
She might be the next Selena.
Oh man.
Elos Dinos. Yeah,
there
dude.
you go.
Yeah, dude. You never know.
Oh man, that's awesome. Hey man, I think we talked about a lot today. I think we covered a lot of ground. I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about your project, man. Is it still up on It's still up on Spotify. I have your CD, so I don't stream your music. I have it on CD. So.
Yeah, no, the music's still on Spotify. It's still on Bandcamp.
Google.
I think it's on Apple Music. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, they charge, we have it set up so that I have to pay like once a year, a couple bucks or something like that for them to keep it up there. So I just leave it up because I don't have any of the physical copies anymore. So
Oh yeah, I know
if I want to
exactly.
listen to it, I got to go on there. So yeah, that's why I leave it up there for myself, really.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you guys heard it. Damn Good Dog. Go check it out on Spotify and all those places. Any other shout outs you want to do before we sign off today, bud?
Hey, to my girlfriend Melissa, whoo, baby, you have been saving my life right now. And I know that when you hear this, you're going to be like, oh my God, why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Just know that I came on here. I'm in the back room right now. I'm talking to Zach. I love you and I appreciate you. And I don't know what I would do without you right now.
Oh my gosh,
So
man.
that's my shout out. That's my shout out. So
Oh, man,
hopefully
that
when
got
she
me.
hears that, hey,
I almost started crying right now, dude. I almost started crying right
stop.
now.
Oh no,
man.
but she's the best mom in the world. And I'm very lucky. Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you for joining us today, Nick. I really appreciate it, man. Man,
Absolutely.
it's such a good time catching up with you and just being able to talk about your project. I wish I was able to do it sooner. I know I don't want to say I'm glad you took a fall on your bike, but I'm glad we got to get this conversation taken care of it, man. Because I needed to get you on, man. Definitely.
Yeah,
get you on.
yeah, me too.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Average Fellas Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Zodizach. We're signing off today. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those things, guys. Go on to our podcast in any of the directories, Google, Apple, Stitcher, any of them. We're on all of them, guys. Give us a like, rate us, help us move up in the directories. We're trying to get going here, guys. Trying to get the news out. Anyways, appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys again next week. Don't forget Star Bros on Thursday nights. Star Bros. I think I said everything. I hope I said everything. Yeah. All right. Later, dudes.